Previously on Unfiltered Heart Talks.
Within society, there's a certain way things are supposed to be done for you to be considered married. I grew up in a single parent household. It is not something that was an influence in my life at all. It really started to dawn on me that, hey, you need to find yourself a wife.
We're two different people from two different cultures. So I kept on telling myself marriage is hard, and we just got married. And I remember one day I was at the apartment, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I made the biggest mistake of my life.
Wow.
I made the biggest mistake of my life, but I just got married. What's everybody gonna think? I'm gonna look like a total failure. And then I tried to, quench, the thoughts of leaving by saying marriage is hard. This is just the rough patch. They say if you survive 7 years, if you survive 7 years, you're gonna last. So I said, maybe if I push it to year 7, things will be better. And I found that not to be so. Another reason I stayed married was because of my children. In the previous marriage, I had 2 children, and I love my babies so much. I love my babies so much. I love my babies.
Keep telling me.
I love my babies so much.
I know
And
you love them.
when I got pregnant first, I knew I should have left. But then I was thinking, I don't want this child to be raised without a father. And even though I had every reason to just end it there,
Right.
I didn't. I didn't end it. And then I had a second child. And I was like, okay, I can't leave now. I'm not in any financial situation to do this. I'm a full-time homemaker and a full-time mom. I have no money. I have 2 children. I can't go anywhere. I have to stay put, So I have 2 children, and I'm going through hell in the situation. And I decided, well, I can't leave because marriage is hard. I can't leave because I have 1 child. I can't leave now because I have 2 children. And I can't leave because I have no financial footing.
Right.
So I was looking at that. And also the church. God of mercy. I just got married. It has not lasted any time.
Right.
And I'm going to get divorced. Because I can remember a minister saying, God hates divorce and the devil hates marriages. So you just stick it out.
Which he does.
Which is true.
God does hate divorces.
But there are situations where you have to get out. If your life is in danger, like mine was, I had to get out.
Right.
So those are the reasons I stayed,
Also
among
played a
others.
role
Yes.
in that. Many people listening to your story right now would ask the questions, many questions from what you said. What were there challenges before the first child? Some might ask, after the first child, didn't you think to yourself to leave?
Yes.
And these are the realistic questions that people are going to ask. How do you give a response to those questions?
Okay. Did I realize any challenges? Absolutely. But us as women, we like to delude ourselves into seeing things that are not there. And that's what I did. I was hoping that because this guy sounded mature,
Right.
And as we mentioned before, maturity comes in stages.
Maturity does come in stages.
So not because somebody looks or sounds mature means that they are mature to handle everything.
Especially marriage.
Marriage is you have to have broad shoulders to handle marriage.
Yeah, that's true. Marriage is a full-time job.
It is a full-time job. So I saw things that were concerning, but I deluded myself into thinking that these things will go away or they're not much of a big deal. Like the cultural incompatibility. the lack of integrity I observed, all these negative things, which there's so many to list. I saw them, but I said, things will change. Things will change. And I stayed. Not only stayed, I saw them, got married, and then I stayed for 2 years. But there's something that happens, when you fall in love, or you believe you fall in love.
Said love is blind.
Yeah. It's not even that. I don't think you're completely blind. I think we have some rose-colored shades on that prevent us from seeing things as they actually are in their true colors. And I believe I was in that stage. And even when I took the glasses off, I was trying to somehow still see things through those lenses. So
something
the
you
next
said,
question.
Something you said. I wanted to ask you the question. So I'm gonna grab my phone because I want to type your questions down so I can ask them.
Okay. You want to use mine? You can use mine.
All right.
Yes.
No, since yours has
notes on it. Okay.
So let me use mine.
Okay.
Because I do want to ask the questions as they come. Because even though some of these things are things that we would have discussed or have conversations on before, as you talk about them to me now, it's like you're just saying them
a new story. Yeah.
So I definitely want to ask you some questions that I think our audience would like
be
to
interested
know
in knowing.
yeah, for sure.
And also, while you're writing your questions down, if you have any question for us about our experience, we would love if you'd place them in the comments below, and we will get to them in a timely manner. Thank you. So the other question, I'm going to answer the other question.
Yes.
So didn't you think about leaving after the first child or the second child?
Right.
I wanted my family to stay together. Despite the dysfunction, despite all that was going on, I wanted a whole family. Because like you, I grew up in a single parent home.
Right.
The beautiful thing about the fact that I grew up in a single parent home, I don't know if that makes sense, is that my parents had such a good relationship.
Right.
I love my daddy. I still call him daddy. And I love my mom. And never has my...
Shout out to mom.
Yes. And never has my dad painted my mom or poisoned my mind towards my mom. Right. And never has my mom poisoned my mind towards my dad. So it's, even though they were apart and I wish that they were together, I have received so much love from them. And even when I hear them interact today, they are very civilized. They're very mindful.
Right.
And it's no longer about me because I'm grown, but they still have a cordial relationship and they care about each other like civilized human beings.
Something that is lacking in society today.
Yeah, so there was no thing about my parents co-parenting. They just loved me and they gave 100% whether together or apart.
Right. Only if society was like that today, where two parents could be apart and still effectively co-parent. It's all about, I think parenting has now moved from a place where it's not about the children, it's about the person, it's about me, it's about so there are more selfishness involved in parenting now than there was before. Yeah, for sure. I mean, my mother, my father was the same thing and they both gave 100%. And my father was married to a different woman. My mother had her partner and they were living their lives, but they still co-parent for the betterment of the child.
And it's crazy because
that's sad.
Because now I'm thinking about something that somebody shared with me when I was going through a rough patch, and we were in this wonky stage where the divorce is processing, and there's this process during litigation where they give you time to see how things will play out, whether you will reconcile or not.
Right.
And I remember just thinking to myself, I wouldn't want this for my family, but I know better than to go back. I know what I endured. I saw how it almost destroyed me. I saw how people couldn't even recognize me.
Wow.
Yeah,
I remember.
So So I'm not going back. I couldn't even convince myself to go back, even if I tried to play dumb. And I remember what someone told me once. The person told me, I wish my parents got divorced. And I said, why? Because I was like talking, and I'm like, I don't want to do this. I want to, but I wish it didn't have to go this way. And they're like, I wish my parents got divorced, because the hell that we went through and we saw behind the scenes, they were better off apart, because all of that trauma and drama is just
negatively impacts the children.
It negatively impacts the child, and it soaks in them over the years.
Wow. Yeah.
So people think that, okay, I'm not getting a divorce. We've been married for 75 years. And then the children are like, I wish y'all just divorced.
Wow.
And he told me, he's like, don't feel bad. I wish my parents got a divorce, because we would be in a better place mentally today.
One of the things that you said that usually crosses my mind, we are now living in an era where women have gotten far more independent than they were 20, 30, 40, 50 years ago. And we talk about marriages being on the decline and how the divorce rate have proliferated throughout the years. And it makes me wonder, now that women are financially stable, they have the money that they need, if challenges comes and they don't want to deal with it,
They
then
can leave.
they can just pack their bags and leave.
Well,
It makes me wonder, because I've heard about stories where women will say, if I had money, I would have left.
yeah.
And it makes me wonder how much of this influences a woman's decision to leave if she's financially independent. Is she more willing to stay? For example, in a situation where the relationship is fixable, right? Is she more willing to stay and fix it and work on it? Or is it a case where having the financial stability makes her want to just pack her things and leave, knowing that she does not need to depend on her man or her husband financially?
Well, it's unique to every situation. But does it make it easier for a woman now versus then? Absolutely.
Yeah.
In my situation, I should have left a long time ago. I was afraid. I had 2 children, just went through a C-section, and I had no money. And the funny thing is, I wanted to work so that I could bring some money in, because I like live large. I can't squat and squabble and them little things. I like live large, right? And in my previous marriage, he didn't want me to work.
Wow.
He didn't want me to work. And, somebody would be like, well, he just wants you to just stay at home and take care of the children. I was willing to do something at home so that we could be in a better financial situation. And when you talk about culture is another thing, because some men from this culture just want to, quote, and I quote, exact words, milk the system.
Wow.
I'm from a culture where I work for what I want. And you see, when I have it, I feel good because I put blood, sweat, and tears into it.
Yeah.
Other people expect everything to be handed to them. Yeah. So in my situation,
victimization mentality.
So in my situation, I wanted to work to put myself ahead and put or family ahead, because I saw that this person didn't want to keep a job, wasn't willing to work.
Wow.
And it was sticky.
Right.
Had I been in that situation. If you like our content, we are also available on Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok. Show us some love over there. Unfiltered Heart Talks.
See you guys. Stay tuned for the next one.